Okay, so in this part we are going to make some textures. We have our images from 3D SK, and you see we have lots of shadows and highlights on these images. So we have to bring them a little bit down. We have to make our image a little bit more flat, because we don't want any shadows and highlights on our diffuse color texture. So I'm using shadow highlight feature in Photoshop to achieve the effect that I want. So you see the difference between previous version and version that I'm going to use to make our textures. And we have to do the same thing for the front, for the side image, and for the any kind of image that we will use for the texturing process. And of course we have to make some manual adjustments. We can use burn tool with different options to bring these highlights a little bit down on the top of the nose, on the sides, and around the eyes. We have still plenty of highlights. Our goal is just to make this image pretty flat. So you see our side image comparing to the front is way different. We have lots of shadows and highlights. And right now we are trying to use similar options to achieve the same effect for the side image. We are just trying to extract the color, the real color from this image without any shadows and highlights. So it's really the first step before you will start putting your texture on your 3D model. Okay, so right now we are in ZBrush. I import our low poly head. The important thing here is to make our canvas size pretty big, and you can use half, anti-aliasing half button to make it a little bit smaller. We need high resolutions because this will help in transferring details from the images to our texture. And now you see the size of the document, it's pretty high. And we will be using Z uplink for transferring our texture from the images to the model. And I'm copying this front texture, front image towards the uplink document. I'm scaling it down, and our goal right now is to try match the image to our model. Of course, the beauty of this technique is that you can use any kind of Photoshop tool right now for editing this image before you will apply it to the model. So you have really freedom at this stage of the process. And I'm using Liquify. Liquify filter to match our texture to the model. And we have one eye on the place, and we have to put the second one, of course, two. I'm trying to match these folds above the eye to match our model a little bit better. Of course, the eyebrows. We'll be editing, of course, all these details later in the process, but right now we are trying to match it as close as possible. Of course, we have to be careful to not stretch our textures very much, because all kind of stretches will be seen later on the texture, so it will be just looking bad. And right now we have to merge this layer with the layer below, and we have to press Ctrl E to do this, and then Ctrl S to save the document and switch to the ZBrush. And right now you see our texture, our front part of the texture is right now on the model, so lots of glitches we can see, but this kind of process is a little bit ugly at the beginning. We flip this document and export the map as a front texture, and we have to repeat this process for the rest of the images for the side image, for the top image, for the back image. So of course I've applied a new texture, and of course using the uplink we repeat the process. We copy the image, we are trying to match this image to our model. Of course as close as possible, but not all the shapes will be matching our model. And of course liquify. We will be moving some parts of the image to match it a little bit better. For example, our ear. So like before, Ctrl E and Ctrl S to save the document and switch to the ZBrush. And we have our side image on our model. And we click clone texture, flip in V and export as a side texture. And once again this kind of middle image, almost like 45 degrees. So I'm trying right now to pose it a little bit better to later easier match with the image. And we repeat our process, the uplink, copying the image, trying to match the image to our model. This 45 degrees angle image is pretty important because we will be using it a lot on our texture. So it's important to match it really carefully also. and especially we want to match our nose and lips. And we have our third texture on our model. Of course, on the second half you see tons of glitches, but it's not that important. We are just interested in having good texture on the one half at the beginning, of course. So we also clone this texture and flip in V export, like you see. And right now, having just these three textures, we are going to put them together. You see, we've got also some more images that we will have to probably adjust a little bit. Also, remove some shadows and remove highlights. I saved my previous images that we've been using because they might be used again later. So we have to adjust these next images. This one will help texture a little bit better our neck and chin, and this is the neck also and backside of the head. And we have one more with the top of the head, which will be used to mostly to make our hair. But right now we are going to import all these three images that we've made in ZBrush: the front side, the side and the middle texture. And I've switched for now to Maya to preview. Of course we have to make wireframe to know a little bit better where we are. So I've exported the wireframe from the UV editor. And I'm creating right now a new texture, completely new texture. And I'm putting all these images into it. I set our wireframe to difference. Really, in this process you will be using a clone brush a lot. So right now you see I'm just previewing the front part on the model with the normal map, because I just wanted to see how it looks with normal map, and it looks not bad. And we have, like you see, lots of glitches to fix. So the first map is our front map, the second one is our middle map, and the last map is our side map. And we are now editing this middle map and trying to blend it with our front map. So we're using a rubber to remove the parts of this middle map that we don't want to. So the lips are definitely will be only from the front map. And in this process you have to really think about the colors. Right now you see this middle map is a little bit darker than the front map, so we will probably make it a little bit lighter, because everything should be blending together pretty nice. And you see right now I've just put some light to this texture, to this middle texture, and I've put down saturation, and now it's definitely blending with this front map better. And really often in this process we will be trying to make some parts of the image a little bit lighter and some of them a little bit darker to match everything. And now you see I'm just doing a preview in Maya what we have already to check if this front map and the middle map is working. And of course it's pretty okay. Of course still have lots of glitches, but I'm just watching the cheek area. So even right now I'm checking if our texture is matching our normal map in some places. Okay, so next step is try to add the next part, and it's of course the side of the head. And also we have to remove lots of parts that we don't need. And here I have a little bit problem because making this part of the image lighter or desaturating it really didn't work so well like before. So I have to remove a little bit more of this image. And I'm switching to Maya to preview what we've got. And it's pretty okay, but we will have to move some part of the image around the ear. Liquify in this case was not a good idea because it makes texture a little bit blurry. So I've just selected the part of the texture that I want to move, and I just transformed it and move, and that's it. So I'm carefully checking if I see any things that I want to change. Of course, we have to work a little bit on the neck right now. So I'm thinking what to do with this part, with the neck, because colors are quite different there. So I'm trying to fix these colors, trying to make some parts lighter, some parts darker. So in next part we are going to continue our texture